Hi, I'm Tiffany Pantozzi, your Orlando property advisor, and I'm here with my friend Cecil of Planted Perfectly, and today we are going to talk about bringing life into your home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button below, like our video, and write any comments that you have, any questions that you have below as well. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you got started.
Okay, so I'm Cecil. The name of my business is Planted Perfectly. But I got started at the beginning of COVID. I think like everybody else, like a lot of people, our lives changed. I lost my job because of COVID. I got laid off, and I always loved plants. And so I decided to marry the need to pay the bills with bringing life into people's homes.
What's so great is that we had met at an outdoor event,
Yes.
and I walked up and he had these gorgeous plants, some that I had never seen before, and I was just so drawn to them and drawn to the idea of bringing life into my home, which really got inspired as well during COVID when you were inside for so long, and I'm like,
Right.
I wish I had more plants, I wish I had more life, but I'm always so concerned that maybe my home's too dark, or I don't really have a green thumb. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep a cactus alive, okay?
You can keep a cactus alive.
So I needed some tips and really want to understand what are the right plants for inside a home, how to choose the right location. So, what are some, when you first think of, I want to bring life into my home, what are some of the first things that you need to consider?
I think the first thing you need to consider when bringing life into your home is your lighting. There's a few things that you have to assess before you decide to bring your green buddies in. And lighting, I think, is paramount in choosing the right plant for the right space. Also, there's a lot of variables, your time as well, as we were talking about earlier. If you're like a super busy person, you might not have a lot of time to water a lot of plants. You might want to be a little bit more selective with the amount of plants that you're bringing in. But I think there is not a room in your home that should be plantless.
Okay, I like that. So we're gonna walk around my personal residence and we're gonna look at some of the locations to see what may be good for a plant, what may not, and which plant may be right for that location, whether it's low light or high light. Tell me a little bit about this one right here.
This is your Xanadu, your philodendron Xanadu. It recently got renamed to something very long and complicated.
Okay.
But according to all my plant people, we're sticking to Xanadu.
Okay.
That's a
and
snake
this is
plant.
gonna go more straight up.
Correct.
And what about this guy? This is gonna come out.
This is your birds of paradise, which is a brighter light plant. And this plant is going to give you a lot of volume in terms of height. And so anybody who has like higher ceilings and has a bigger space that you want to fill, this is a great plant. And you want to not just think about the plant right now when you buy it, it's how it will eventually grow in the future. And so this one, you're going to get like a lot of height from this one.
And this guy too?
This is your fiddle leaf fig, your #1 most popular house plant. Putting it outside in the sun, the leaves are going to burn.
Yes.
But it likes really bright.
This one, okay, which is different.
It likes really bright.
Right, but whereas the Birds of Paradise is not as bright.
Bright light as well, because I've seen them grow outside. But this could survive in bright indirect light as well. The umbrella plant is one of those plants where I think if you have a lower light corner in your house, but you're looking for something that's going to give you a lot of volume and height, this is one of those great plants.
Okay.
And it'll be a great plant on your patio or a great plant inside. This is your variegated, the rubber plant. I will tell you, the rubber plant is my favorite plant of all time.
Okay.
But the burgundy rubber, which we don't have.
Okay, burgundy rubber, we gotta show you that. Boop.
Yes.
On the screen. Okay.
Burgundy rubber is.
We don't have it here, but we'll pull it up for you.
But this is your variegated lemon and lime. Now variegation.
I love that.
Variegated just means that your leaf has more than one color.
So what about these three cuties over here?
Well, for everybody here is in the same family.
Okay.
These three are your prayer plants.
Oh,
now,
they're all considered prayer plants?
Correct.
I love that they're called prayer plants.
Correct. These are your maranthas. This is your red marantha and green marantha. Now they're called prayer plants because during the course of the day, just like the two you have on your patio, their leaves move, and so they move up and down throughout the course of the day. And then these are great plants for, these are great low light plants.
Okay. So these three that you're saying are prayer plants, which I did get 2 prayer plants from you.
The tips of their leaves will start to get crispy. So a good rule of thumb is when you're watering these, if you don't have rainwater, which is ideal when watering these, is to have your tap water sit out for 24 hours before you give them a drink. And then you want to keep these plants moist, not soggy, but moist evenly.
So now we're in my dining room, and I really have this open space here, and I wanted to, again, bring some kind of a pop of green life into the home. And I selected this, and it's been doing all right, although you said this may not be the best option because right now it looks really bright in here, but that's from the lights in my home. Otherwise, it can be more of a darker corner in my home.
And your eureka plants, these are palm trees that prefer like a lot of light.
I need your help styling this area. Again, it's off of my main dining room, and I feel like it needs something going on. So let's put something together that you think would work for this corner.
Absolutely. So proud of your plant. I'm more proud of this
He's
plant
so
than
proud of
anything
this
else.
because I've kept it alive. See? Or if my husband kept it alive. Okay, so once we select whether it's the location is right for low light or high light plant, and you know what plant you're gonna bring into your home, or even on the patio of your home, right? Now, how do we care for the plants? Because I'm very busy and I don't have the time to run around my house 10 different locations watering the plants, and am I, just using the water from the sink, and I'm on a well versus a city water home. So what are some of the care tips that we need to be thinking about?
Okay, so I would say the first thing to remember in caring for your plants, and the first advice I always give, is always remembering that your plant is a living thing. Like the plant is alive, and as alive as like you and I. And like I always say, you want to treat the plant as you treat your cat or like your dog or a bird or a pet. I think for watering, what's important is you want to always have your plants on a watering cycle. For me, I like to choose one day of the week. Let's just say for me, watering day is like a Sunday. And I'll take all my plants outside. And then when you water your plants, what you have to make sure is that you're watering them thoroughly. And you're watering them until the water runs out of the bottom of the pot.
So you're watering them once a week?
Once a week.
Oh.
But it depends on the plant. Like you have some plant, let's just say your ZZ plant or your ponytail palm, this little one back here.
Oh, I love that one.
That stores waters in their roots. Like the ZZ plants has little rhizomes in their roots, and they store water there. And so you'd maybe water a ZZ once a month. And so maybe for a busier person or somebody who doesn't have like a lot of time to be watering, you want to select a plant that the watering is minimum.
Oh,
and a
I like
ZZ
that. Okay.
And a ponytail palm or cactuses for that reason. Cactuses are also plants that store water for a very long time. And so you might want to choose a plant like that if you are a busier person.
So, and that'll still bring green into your life. Okay, so watering once a month, that sounds like a plan for me.
Yes.
But okay, now maybe a plant for once a week. What kind of plant would that be?
A fiddle.
A fiddle?
The fiddle leaf fig is a once a week plant, or your birds of paradise. I would say in the summertime, you might want to water your birds of paradise maybe like twice a week.
Okay.
But generally, and it's like dormant months, which is like the winter months, you want to just give it a once a week watering. Or let's just say your rubber plant, for example, or your Monstera deliciosa.
Ooh,
you want to, which is another thing, which I think sometimes it's super off-putting for people when approaching plants, is that some of these plants have these like super long botanical names.
Yes.
And then like if you're not really a plant person who is like super acclimated with these long names.
I get quite intimidated myself because I think they're beautiful and I don't want to kill them. And so I'm like, I don't know what's right for me, and I just get overwhelmed, so I just had no plans, right? So that's why we brought you in as the pro to help us.
I think once you know the name of the plant, like It's the Monstera Swiss cheese plant. Once you know the Swiss cheese plant, in the same way you'd go on Google and you'd look up everything else, you just go on Google and like I like to do it at the nursery.
Okay.
And it takes me a super long time to select a plant because at the nursery, you know, you just go on your phone, Monstera Deliciosa, and usually you'll get all the care tips. There's like a million sites out there that gives you care tips, and like from you're right there before you even buy the plant.
Okay.
And not because it looks good to you aesthetically, it might be a plant that you can't really handle or you don't have the time to water.
Because we were talking about the plant that I have outside that I actually bought this other plant. So cut to the plant that I bought, which is called my prayer plant.
Oh, the calathea.
Yeah,
Yes.
and luckily it's still alive.
And calatheas are among some of the hardest plants to take care of. I was just telling Tiffany that I was really proud of her because I have a calathea as well, or that same calathea that did not survive. And so your white star, which is outside, it's beautiful, it's thriving. You have it in a great spot. It gets a lot of humidity, and I think you're really doing very well with all the plants that you have.
Well, thank you. I have to give the credit to my husband. Shout out Paul Pantozzi.
Shout out to Paul.
Yeah, he's giving me, he keeps them alive, luckily. But I also think it has to do with climate, right? We're in Florida.
Absolutely.
So if I have these plants outside, they might need more water than a once a week.
Correct.
Versus if I have it inside of my home.
Correct. And I mean, to your point, humidity and temperature plays a big factor in how often you're going to water your plants. To your point, if you have them outside, they might dry out a little bit faster. And so what you want to do is to, maybe a good rule of thumb is that you take your finger and you stick it inside the dirt.
Okay.
And if it is
moist.
If it is moist down to, I want to say like your second knuckle, you want to leave the plant alone.
Okay.
When your plant can recover from underwatering, it's harder for your plant to recover from overwatering, because overwatering will allow your roots to rot.
So if you put your finger into the second knuckle and it's still moist, it doesn't need water?
It does not.
But if it's dry, water it.
Water it.
That's an easy rule of thumb.
Correct.
To figure. And that kind of can apply to all plants?
Pretty much all
that
plants.
We're talking about today?
Right. If you choose a plant, like let's just say a snake plant, or one of these that we spoke about before, like a ZZ that doesn't really need a lot of watering very often.
Okay.
You already know that the plant is fine.
Okay.
So if you watered it last week, in like 2 weeks, you don't need to water it again. It's just generally, it's a plant that doesn't take a lot of water.
Right.
But let's just say it's a plant like the fiddle, which is notoriously a finicky plant and notoriously just needs a little bit more time and energy than your ZZ. You might want to check a plant like this a little bit more often, throughout the week.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So now let's name off a few so we can show you some things that you can maybe go out to your nursery, local nursery. You can just Google local nursery.
Yeah, or you could hit me up on Instagram. I'll plant it perfectly. I do sell plants as well.
Yes.
And I always tailor the plant to you. I try my best I grow some, but I try my best to always select really healthy plants, which is another thing you want to make sure that when you're selecting your plants, is selecting a super healthy plant, is taking it out the pot, looking at the roots, making sure that the root system is healthy.
That's something I never looked at either, and how to know what a healthy root system looks like.
It's a healthy root. It's just like a lighter, paler color, and it just looks like super healthy versus like a darker root that's just a mess.
So somebody that doesn't know much about planting, I would be maybe looking at a dark root. I'd be like, oh, it's dark because it's in the dirt.
No, you want to choose like a lighter. You want to choose like a plant that has lighter, healthier looking roots.
Okay.
And that's another factor in choosing a plant.
Exactly.
Is choosing a healthy plant.
So again, that's why we have Planted Perfectly, the expert here today talking to us, so that you can reach out to him on Instagram and he can do an in-house virtual consultation for you. He does hand select plants. He can come to your home and help you I like to call it plant styling, which we're going to talk about again in a minute. So now real quick, I just want you to name off that we can pop up here for our viewers to see. Name off like a few of your favorite low light plants.
A few of my favorite low light plants are your ZZ plants, and it could be a regular ZZ plant or your ZZ Raven. I like your Chinese Evergreen, which comes in a million cultivars, which is just like a different variety or color of the plant. I like your snake plant for a low light plant. What factors in to a great plant is also the shape of the plant.
Right.
And so I like, even if you're going to do a low light plant, I like plants that pack a big visual punch.
Me too. For me, again, it's about the design element too in my home. It's part of the decor, the design of my home.
It certainly is.
Exactly.
It certainly
So that's
is.
important.
And that's how you kind of choose the right plant to tie it in aesthetically with what you have going on inside your home. And then
Exactly.
later on we can go into pot selection, which is
We're going to talk about that styling for
Correct.
sure. So give me a few of your highlight plants. that are
Highlight
your
plants are definitely fiddly fig, which is right here, which is I think the #1 plant everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Your birds of paradise, I really love. I think your Xanadu.
Is this one?
Yes, that
This
is your
look
fill-in.
how this is, I love this Xanadu plant.
I love it, and I love it so much because it reminds me, the leaves reminds me of that chair from Beetlejuice.
Ah.
I don't know if you ever saw Beetlejuice,
Uh-huh.
when they go, "Duh," and then the whole, and the chairs.
I love it.
It reminds me of the chairs from Xanadu, and for me, like, I like choosing plants that
Yeah.
remind me
Of things.
of something.
See, like I love.
And this is like, I
This
think,
is my favorite because I'm from South Florida, from Miami, and it reminds me of being at like a hotel pool, like in the tropics, like just
Right.
it just I love this plant.
I love this plant so
And
much.
this is called
This is a Birds of Paradise.
Birds of
I
Paradise.
love it a lot because it reminds me of that CW Stockwell wallpaper called Martinique.
Yes, I love that.
Has,
It just feels so
Oh,
tropical.
right. It's like a quintessential
Yes.
tropical plant. And I think for like a highlight plant, your Birds of Paradise and your fiddly fig are probably.
And they give you a big punch in a home.
It's a huge
Lots
punch.
of that green visual, full. They get pretty full, very pretty to
Huge
look at.
punch in your home. But for a lot of people struggle with their fiddly figs. It's just important to
So
remember
it
that.
may be more finicky. Like it may, if you're not somebody that might have a little bit more of a green thumb, maybe that's not the best selection for you.
Right, and which
Okay.
is something I'll tell you that I don't believe there is anything as like called a green thumb. I believe
that's good to know.
Yeah, no, I don't believe there's any green thumbs. I believe I can do it. I believe you can do it. I think it's just always remembering that the plant is alive, and if
They need care.
Right, and if you do your homework before you bring your plant into the house, 9 times out of 10, if you do it right, and if you take the time to really do your homework on the plant, the plant will be fine.
And it'll make you feel so good that when you're keeping it alive and it's flourishing and it's growing, and that's because you're caring for it, right?
Yeah, and it's something tangible that you can that you can see it grow. And then for a lot of people who don't have children, like myself, it's something to take care of.
Yes.
So that's another reason why I like plants,
Right.
because it's like something to come home to. I think to your point earlier about the green world exploding during this COVID pandemic, I think it happened because we were all regulated to inside, and I think everybody so much was yearning to go outside, and I think for the first time for a lot of people who never had houseplants, that they got it. And I think for the same reason selling houses of views are so important. It's that connection with nature that I think people are craving, and so I don't even think it's a fad, and I don't think it'll go away. I think moving forward, I think people now have realized how important it is, sometimes even mentally. You know,
It's very peaceful when you go out and you're watering your plants, you're taking care of, you're seeing them do well. Like there is this sense of peace that comes over you and relaxation.
Absolutely.
It's like a therapy,
right?
right?
And I was telling you, that's why I have I have plants inside, but most of my plants live on my patio, and they live on my patio mostly because when I open my door in the morning and it's time to go, no matter how I woke up feeling, it sets the tone, I think, for the rest of my day.
I agree.
And it's just like, for me, a beautiful way to start your day, to wake up and to look at your plant. And then to your point, it's good to watch them grow. It feels good. I know people who have had plants for 30 plus years that they really love, or plants that they got from their mom or for their grandma. And I think bring more plants in. Why not?
I agree.
But bring plants in at a scale that's manageable to you and to your life and to your budget, because plants can be expensive. And I say you do it according to the boundaries of your life. There is a million great planters available now online, in person, at different stores.
One of my favorite places, Home Goods. I walk through the basket aisles all the time, and I never put two and two together of like, hey, you can put this really cool plant in this basket.
I was telling you, my very first plant I had was a Eureka plant, and I had it in my very first apartment. And all I had was my bed on a frame, and I had a chest of drawers, and I never really felt, and that's all I had in terms of furniture. It started my life, and I never really felt at home until I bought the palm tree, and I bought it for $11 at Walmart, and I never had anything to put it in. And I found I was telling her, I found a wicker basket, and it served perfectly, and I had it for a couple of years until I moved, and your life kind of starts. But it was, for me, a great way to feel like I was at home. I'm from Jamaica originally, and so it's like Florida, it's like a super tropical place. And so having plants nothing beats it. It makes you feel good, it relaxes you, and it just...
But like you're saying, as you're saying, so don't feel intimidated. You can start very simply. Like you started with a plant from Walmart, as you said.
For $11.
For $11, and maybe go to Home Goods and find a $10 cool basket. And
Absolutely.
You can start to collect things, and it is really
and
cool.
there's no rules.
No.
There's no rules, and your pot ties it into the aesthetic of your house. And so whatever your aesthetic is, whether you're a mid-century modern person, whether you're a bohemian, whether you're more minimalist, whatever it is, there is a plant out there or a planter out there to suit your liking. One of the best photos I saw on Instagram of plant styling was someone used sets of vintage coffee table books, and they staggered them at different heights
to create that leveling of styling.
To create that leveling. And
vintage coffee table books.
Yes, vintage coffee table books.
In their house, like in a corner or something?
On the floor, on the
You're going to have to
counter.
send me this picture. We're going to put it up.
And they used vintage coffee table books, and it was just so beautiful. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And you don't really need 50 plants to have your house be beautiful with plants or be botanical. Some of the most beautiful homes I've seen have only one plant and one great plant. And in the same way, I've seen houses with 500 plants.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. I'm somebody that will probably go overboard and be like explosion of plants.
Right, and so you
scale back a little bit.
You find the number that works for you and the number that works for your life in terms of the amount of plants that you can make survive, and you just go from there. And I think in the same way you wouldn't, and I always advise people, in the same way you probably wouldn't go to Tiffany's or Cartier to buy your entire jewelry collection at one time.
Right, you have a special piece.
Right, and you want to, it's something that you curate over a period of time and you add. And plants die.
Right.
It's natural, and so some of your plants will die.
So don't feel bad, I have to do this all in one shot. Like you said, you curate it. I love that. That's the perfect way to describe it. Like you're gonna curate it over time. And if it dies, it dies. Like you said, certain things you can control, certain things you can't control.
You cannot. And I think you just do your best though to keep the plant alive. And again, I always say, remember, more important than the pot, the plant, like you and I, are living things. They're alive, and all the love that you give to them, they give back to you. And so they just want to make you happy, and you should try to make them happy.
Well, we all need as much happiness in our life as possible, and
especially
one way
in these
to
times.
do it is to bring in plants to our home and have something to care for. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So I love this conversation. I'm so excited to be sharing all this, knowledge with everybody. So first and foremost, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
You can find me. I do my plant sales primarily off Instagram, and you can find me at planted_perfectly.
So check him out. Go follow him, planted_perfectly.
Yes, and then whatever question, and even if you're not looking to buy a plant, you might just have a question about a plant. I found that the plant community as a whole, I have not met one mean plant person. Never. Plant people
Right.
generally, I'm telling you, it's
Yeah,
true.
I can't imagine,
Plant
right?
people generally are people that are so relaxed and so chill. And there's so many accounts out there, mine as well, that even if you have a plant and you're trying to treat, people send me pictures of their plants all the time. Last week, a lady hit me up. She's like, hey, I have my monstera is dying. What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, do you have a drainage hole in the container that you planted it in? And she's like, no. And I'm like, your roots are rotting. I'm like, you need to take it out immediately and like repot it. And so feel free to hit me up.
Yeah,
if
so
you have
he
any
does,
questions.
consulting, he
Absolutely.
does sales. So make sure to follow him, hit him up. And if you like this video, you have questions, put some comments below. We'd be happy to jump in and answer those questions. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because we're gonna have more great information and videos like this. And like this video if you like the information we shared. So thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.
And can I say before we go, Tiffany, thank you so much for inviting me to your home. I think from the moment I met you, I think you are such a force.
Thank you.
And you're so beautiful inside and out. And this is such an opportunity.
Yeah,
so
I met
thank you
him
so
and
much.
I immediately was like, oh my gosh, like energy is just right. Like I love what he's doing. I have to share it with everybody that I know.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's what it's all about, collaborating and helping each other.
And you love the plants.
I do love the plants. I feel the energy. It makes me happy. Happiness, right? Bringing more happiness into your home. So again, thank you guys for watching and we will see you next time.